Amelia was happily serving food and laughing with her family at the reunion when Jason walked in, but he wasn't alone. His new girlfriend, Bella, strutted over and shoved a white envelope into Amelia's hand. "Jason wanted me to give you this," she smirked. "Divorce papers." The entire room fell silent. Amelia's hands shook, but she looked Bella in the eye and whispered, "Tell Jason this isn't over." What she did next would shock everyone. Like, share and subscribe for more stories about women overcoming betrayal and fighting back. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. When I think back to the beginning of our marriage, I remember how happy we were. Or at least I thought we were. Jason used to hold my hand everywhere we went. He used to bring me little gifts, even when it wasn't my birthday. We would laugh until our cheeks hurt. He promised me forever. I believed him, but forever didn't last very long. It didn't happen overnight. No, Jason changed slowly, like the way summer fades into fall. At first, he stopped coming home for dinner. He said he was working late, and I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my husband. Then his words changed. They used to be soft, kind. But soon, everything I did seemed to annoy him. "Why is the house always a mess? Can't you cook something better than this? Why do you always wear the same old clothes?" Each word was like a tiny cut. But I told myself he was just stressed. I told myself to be patient. I told myself this was just a rough patch. That's what people said about marriage, right? That it has ups and downs. But the downs kept piling up. He started missing my family events. Birthdays, holidays, Sunday dinners. I would tell him weeks in advance. But when the day came, he always had some excuse. "I can't make it. I've got a meeting. Sorry, I'm exhausted. Maybe next time." There was never a next time. I remember spending Christmas Eve alone, sitting by the tree I decorated by myself, waiting for him to come home. He never did. Mason, my best friend since childhood, noticed. He saw the sadness I tried to hide. "Amelia, something's not right," Mason said one day as we sipped coffee at our favorite cafe. "He's not treating you the way you deserve." But I shook my head and smiled, pretending everything was fine. "You don't understand, Mason? He's just busy. It'll pass." Mason didn't push me, but his eyes told me he didn't believe that. I wanted to believe in my marriage more than I wanted to see the truth. But the truth has a way of finding you. One night, Jason finally came home early. I was happy, thinking we could finally have dinner together like old times. As I hugged him, I caught a strange smell on his shirt. It was sweet, heavy, and completely unfamiliar. It wasn't my perfume. I stepped back and asked, "What's that smell?" Jason barely looked at me. "Oh, just someone from work. She gave me a hug after the meeting." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But from that day, the perfume seemed to follow him home more and more. And I started to notice other things. He guarded his phone like it was made of gold. He started locking his car even when it was parked in our driveway. He changed his passwords. He smiled when he texted, but never when he was with me. I stayed quiet. Maybe I was afraid to know. Maybe I was afraid of what would happen if I admitted the truth. But silence didn't stop the storm. Jason became colder. He would leave in the morning without saying goodbye. When he came home, he wouldn't even look at me. I became invisible in my own house. One day, Mason stopped me as I walked out of the grocery store. "Amelia, are you okay?" he asked. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to lie. But my throat tightened, and tears burned my eyes. "Mason, I think I'm losing him." Mason put his hand on my shoulder and said something I'll never forget. "Sometimes, losing someone is the best thing that can happen to you." At the time, I didn't understand. But now I know exactly what he meant. Because when I found that envelope at the family reunion party, I realized I had already lost Jason a long time ago. But what Jason didn't know, what Bella didn't know, was that I wasn't done. I wasn't going to cry in a corner. I wasn't going to quietly sign those papers and walk away. No. I was going to fight. And when I was done, they would both wish they had never crossed me. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories about women taking their power back. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss what happens next. I kept telling myself I was wrong. I told myself the perfume on Jason's shirt was just from a friendly hug, nothing more. But the smell never went away. It followed him, clung to his clothes, his car, even the papers he left on the table. And then there were the phone calls. He would step outside to answer them, speaking in soft whispers. When I asked who it was, he would just shrug and say, "Work." But Jason's work didn't make him smile like that. The distance between us grew like a wall I couldn't climb. I would cook his favorite meals, but he never touched them. I would wait by the window, hoping to hear his car pull into the driveway. But many nights, he didn't come home at all. One evening, I sat at the dinner table alone, staring at the untouched food growing cold in front of me. My phone buzzed. It was Mason. "Mason, are you okay? Do you want me to come over?" Me. "I'm fine. Just a quiet night." I lied again. But Mason knew. He always knew. The breaking point came on a Saturday. Jason came home wearing a crisp blue shirt I had never seen before. He smelled like that same perfume, only stronger this time. I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Jason," I said softly, trying to steady my shaking voice. "Tell me the truth. Are you seeing someone else?" He didn't even try to lie. Jason crossed his arms and said, without a flicker of emotion, "Yes. I'm with Bella now. She makes me happy. You should have seen this coming." The room spun. It felt like someone had kicked me in the stomach. "Bella? Who is Bella?" "She's someone who appreciates me," he said coldly. "Someone who doesn't nag. Someone exciting." I felt my throat closing, my heart thudding painfully in my chest. But what about our vows? What about everything we built? Jason shrugged. "Sometimes things break. You just move on." I couldn't believe how easy those words came out of his mouth. Move on? Was I something he could just throw away? Then he added, "Just sign the divorce papers quietly. There's no point in fighting this." I stared at him, my hands trembling. Is that what you think of me? That I'll just give up? That I'll just disappear? Jason picked up his jacket and walked toward the door. "Don't make this harder than it has to be, Amelia. Be smart." He left me standing there, broken. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch, holding the unsigned divorce papers, my tears soaking the edges. I thought about the years I gave him, the birthdays he missed, the promises he shattered. Part of me wanted to curl up and cry. Part of me wanted to scream. But another part, a new part, wanted something else. I wanted revenge. The next morning, I went to see Grandma Rose. I needed someone who would understand me. I needed her wisdom. She listened quietly as I poured my heart out. When I finished, she placed her warm hand over mine and said, "Sweetheart, sometimes life hands you lemons, but sometimes life hands you gasoline, and you can either drink it and burn from the inside, or pour it and light your own path." I looked at her, confused. She smiled. "The best revenge is served cold. Don't react now. Don't cry. Don't beg. Let them think they've won. And when the time is right, you'll remind them exactly who you are." Her words echoed in my mind as I left her house. I wasn't going to crumble. I wasn't going to let Jason and Bella write the ending to my story. I went home, smoothed the divorce papers, and whispered to myself, "Not yet. I'll sign them, but on my terms." That's when I called Mason. "Mason," I said, my voice steady for the first time in weeks, "I need your help. I want to know everything Jason's been hiding." Mason didn't ask why. He just said, "I've got your back." I smiled for the first time in a long time. This isn't over. It's just beginning. I wasn't going to let Jason walk away from me like I was nothing. I wasn't going to sign those divorce papers and let him leave me with empty hands and a broken heart. No. I was going to fight smart. I was going to fight quietly. And I wasn't going to fight alone. Mason became my rock. The next morning, I met him at a small cafe across town where no one would see us. I told him everything Jason had said. I told him about Bella, about how Jason wanted me to be smart and just walk away. Mason leaned forward. If he's this confident, Amelia, he's hiding something. Men like Jason don't walk away unless they've made sure they'll win. His words stuck with me. So, we started digging. Mason had a friend who worked at a local law firm. She agreed to help us quietly. Through her, we learned something that made my stomach twist. Jason had already been moving assets out of our shared accounts. Bit by bit, he was draining our savings and shifting everything into accounts I didn't know about. Jason was planning to leave me with nothing. Every day, Mason and I uncovered more. Jason had sold stocks I didn't even know we owned. He had transferred some of our furniture to his mother's house, pretending they belonged to her. Even worse, he had already met with a real estate agent to secretly sell the beach house Jason and I had bought together on our 5th anniversary. The house I thought we'd retire in someday. Each discovery hit me like a punch in the chest. But the worst part wasn't what Jason did. It was what my own family started to believe. Somehow, Jason got to them first. My aunt called me one night. Amelia, why can't you just let him go? You've always been so difficult. Difficult? I had given everything to that marriage. Then my cousin Sarah sent me a message. Maybe Jason just found someone who makes him happy. You can't blame him for that. But what broke me most was my sister, Claire. She showed up at my door, arms crossed, eyes full of judgment. Amelia, Jason told me you've been impossible to live with. He said you were always cold, always distant. Maybe if you'd been a better wife, none of this would have happened. I stared at her, my throat tight with disbelief. How can you say that, Claire? You know me. You know the life I built for us. Claire shook her head. I know what Jason told me. Maybe you just didn't see what was right in front of you. And just like that, even my own sister was standing on his side. For a moment, I wanted to give up. I wanted to sign the papers and walk away from all of them. But Mason wouldn't let me. Let them believe what they want, he told me firmly. They'll see the truth soon enough. We're not done yet. One night, Mason's friend called us with something big. Amelia, we found something strange, she said over the phone. There's a hidden bank account Jason set up in your name. In my name? I gasped. Yes, but here's the part he didn't expect. It's not empty. It's full. There's a lot of money in there, money he's been hiding. I don't think he thought anyone would ever find it. He planned to blame you for it later, to make it look like you'd stolen it. Jason wasn't just walking away. He was setting me up. My hands trembled as I wrote down the account number. All that money, all those secrets, and now it was in my hands. Jason thought he had trapped me, but he made one mistake. He forgot I had people who still believed in me. He forgot I had Mason, and most of all, he forgot I could fight back. I wasn't going to wait much longer. I had the money. I had the proof. Now, I needed the perfect moment to make my move. And I knew exactly when that would be. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories about women fighting back and winning. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss what happens next. You won't believe how I plan to turn the tables on Jason and Bella. When I found that hidden account in my name, something inside me clicked. Jason thought he was being smart, thought he had built the perfect trap. But he didn't think I'd ever find it. And now, all the money he had secretly moved, every dollar he'd tried to steal from our life together, was mine to control. I sat in my small kitchen, staring at the laptop screen as the numbers glowed back at me. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Money Jason had hidden, probably for years. It was dirty money. Some from investments, some from side deals Mason's friend told me about. Money Jason didn't want anyone to trace. That's why he put it in my name. He thought if things went bad, he could blame me. Say I stole it. Leave me to clean up the mess while he walked away with Bella. But now I controlled it. Every cent. I didn't tell anyone, not even Mason. I quietly transferred the funds into a new account that only I could access. I made sure the trail was clean, careful, and invisible. It was like flipping a switch. 1 second, Jason was in control. The next, his empire began to crack. But I didn't tell him. I waited. I wanted him to feel safe. I wanted him to think he'd won. And he did. Oh, Jason really believed he had crushed me. He and Bella were everywhere, posting pictures on social media, laughing at fancy restaurants, going on expensive trips. My family kept whispering about them. My own sister Claire sent me a text. You should see how happy Jason is now. Maybe you really were the problem, Amelia. That one stung. But I stayed quiet. I let them talk. Jason's life looked perfect on the outside. Bella would post photos of them clinking champagne glasses with captions like, "Finally, the life we deserve." Jason would comment things like, "Best decision I ever made." And my name? It was never mentioned. It was like I didn't exist. But I did. I was right there, watching, waiting. I wanted Jason to feel like the king of the world before I took the ground out from under him. Then came the night I'd been waiting for. Jason had planned a fancy dinner for Bella's birthday, a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city skyline. Bella posted it all live, the drinks, the appetizers, the view. When it was time to pay, Jason pulled out his black card. Swipe, declined. He laughed awkwardly and handed the waiter another card. Swipe, declined. He tried again. Declined. Bella's smile faded. The waiter's polite expression turned into something colder. Jason started to panic, flipping through his wallet, his hands shaking. He tried another card. And another. Declined. 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 In front of everyone, Jason's perfect world shattered. Bella hissed, "What's going on? Why aren't the cards working?" Jason pulled out his phone, his fingers trembling as he opened his banking app. All accounts frozen. Balance 0.00. His face went pale. Bella leaned closer. "Jason, where's the money? What's happening?" Jason scrambled to call the bank, but his voice cracked when he realized it was already too late. The accounts were flagged. The transfers I made triggered a freeze on all his remaining assets. That was my quiet message to him. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to throw a fit. I let his empty wallet do the talking. Back at home, I sipped tea while scrolling through Bella's social media. She had stopped posting. The live video had ended in silence. No more champagne, no more fancy dinners. Jason thought he could destroy me. Jason thought I would just go away. But I had just begun twisting the knife. He wanted me to be smart. Oh, I was smart. Smarter than he ever knew. And this was just the beginning. Bella had loved the spotlight. She loved the expensive dinners, the sparkling gifts, the luxury trips Jason provided. She loved flaunting their relationship, tagging him in photos, showing the world what she thought was her perfect man. But when the money disappeared, so did Jason's patience. Suddenly, Jason wasn't the charming, smiling man she thought she had stolen from me. He was cold, angry, reckless, and he didn't hide it. Their friends began to notice. Jason snapped at Bella in restaurants. He insulted her in front of waiters. He shoved her hand away when she tried to calm him. One night, while sitting at a coffee shop, Jason's voice rose so loud that other customers turned to stare. "This is all your fault," he spat. "If you hadn't been so clingy, I would have noticed something was wrong with my accounts. You were supposed to make my life easier, not ruin it." Bella's eyes filled with tears, but Jason didn't stop. "You're nothing but a distraction," he hissed. "You think you're special? You're just the girl I picked when I was bored." His words cut through her like a blade. For the first time, Bella saw the Jason I had lived with, the selfish man who blamed everyone else when things fell apart. Bella stopped posting their photos after that. Her social media went silent. No more best boyfriend ever captions. No more rooftop dinners. She was starting to realize what I had known all along. Jason only loved you when you were useful to him. A few days later, Bella did something I didn't expect. She showed up at my door. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching her fidget like a child caught in a lie. She looked smaller now. The bright, confident woman who had delivered my divorce papers with a smirk was gone. Now she just looked lost. "Amelia," she whispered, not meeting my eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't know what kind of man Jason really was." I raised an eyebrow but said nothing. She bit her lip. "I thought he loved me. I thought I was different, but he's been cruel to me. He's not who I thought he was." There was a tiny part of me that wanted to feel sorry for her, but it disappeared quickly. "You made your choice," I said calmly. "When you handed me those papers in front of my family, you made your choice." Bella's lip trembled. I didn't know what I was doing. "Now you do," I said, and gently closed the door in her face. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to argue. I just needed to walk away with my head high. But I wasn't done yet. I wanted Jason to feel the weight of everything he had done, and I wanted everyone to see it. So I sent an invitation. I invited Jason and Bella to the next family gathering. It was a charity dinner my grandmother was hosting, something Jason used to love attending to show off his wealth and status. When I called him, I made sure my voice was sweet, polite. "I know things have been rough," I told him, "but I'd like us to be civil for the family's sake. Please come to the charity dinner. I even have a special gift for you and Bella." Jason hesitated, but his pride wouldn't let him say no. He wanted to prove he still looked good in public, even if his wallet was empty. When I hung up, I leaned back in my chair, a slow smile spreading across my face. He didn't know that the gift I had planned would tear the last piece of his reputation apart. The trap was set, and this time, everyone would be watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories about women rising from betrayal. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss what happens at the family dinner. Jason is about to receive a gift he'll never forget. The family charity dinner was the perfect stage. Everyone was there. Cousins, aunts, uncles, family friends, even the people who had quietly turned their backs on me when Jason walked out. The same ones who whispered that I was the problem. The ones who smiled at Jason and Bella like they were some kind of power couple. But tonight, the spotlight would shift. I walked in, calm and poised, with a small, beautifully wrapped box in my hand. The silver ribbon shimmered under the soft lights. It looked delicate, harmless. Jason and Bella arrived not long after. His smile was wide, but there was a strain behind it. Bella clung to his arm, her steps hesitant, her eyes darting around nervously. I could tell the cracks between them had grown wider. I greeted them with a polite nod. "Thank you for coming," I said sweetly. "I'm glad we can be civil." Jason's eyes narrowed slightly, probably suspicious, but his ego wouldn't let him back out now. He loved an audience. The dinner went on with small talk and fake laughs. Jason still tried to play the charming ex-husband, and Bella's forced smiles were starting to crack around the edges. Finally, it was time. I stood, clinking my glass gently to get everyone's attention. "I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude," I began, my voice steady. "Tonight is about family, growth, and moving forward. And I have a very special gift for two people who truly changed my life." The room fell silent. Jason leaned back in his chair with a smug grin, probably thinking I was about to offer some pitiful apology. I turned to him and Bella, holding out the beautifully wrapped box. "This is for you." Jason's grin faltered slightly, but he took the box anyway. Slowly, carefully, he unwrapped it as everyone watched. Inside was a neatly stacked set of financial documents, contracts, bank statements, asset transfers. It was everything. Every dollar, every hidden account, every property. The papers didn't lie. They clearly showed that I now owned everything Jason once controlled. I had transferred his hidden money. His precious beach house? It was in my name now. His so-called safe accounts? Empty. Jason's fingers trembled as he flipped through the pages. His face drained of color. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Bella leaned over his shoulder, her eyes scanning the papers. Her hand shot to her mouth as she realized what she was looking at. Her scream shattered the silence in the room. "You said you had everything handled," she hissed at Jason, her face flushed with panic. "You said she'd walk away with nothing." Jason was frozen, his eyes wide, breathing shallow. He had lost. The whispers rippled through the crowd like wildfire. Family members who once doubted me were now leaning in, their faces twisting with shock and confusion. I stepped forward, just enough so only Jason and Bella could hear me. "This was your gift to me," I whispered softly. "You just didn't know it." Bella's eyes filled with tears. She stood up so fast her chair clattered to the floor. "You've ruined everything!" She shrieked at Jason before storming out of the hall, her heels clicking furiously against the polished floor. Jason sat there holding the papers in his shaking hands, utterly humiliated in front of everyone he once impressed. He had tried to destroy me, but he had handed me the keys to his kingdom without even realizing it. I turned to leave, but not before glancing back at him one last time. "You wanted me to be smart," I said, my voice soft but cutting. I was. The room stayed silent as I walked away, my heart steady, my steps light. The girl who once begged him to stay was gone. In her place was a woman who now held everything. It didn't take long for Jason to come crawling back. A week after the family dinner, he showed up at my door, desperate, disheveled, and nothing like the proud man who once handed me divorce papers through his girlfriend. Gone were the expensive suits. His car had already been repossessed. The house he once bragged about now belonged to me. His business? Frozen and under review for suspicious financial activity. Bella? She disappeared the night of the family dinner. No goodbye, no explanation. Just gone. Jason was now standing in front of me, clutching a small, battered folder, like it was his last hope. "Amelia, please," he begged, his voice cracking. "I made mistakes. I see that now. I wasn't thinking straight. I let Bella get into my head. He ran his hands through his hair, his desperation spilling over. "I just need you to give it back. I can't live like this. I've lost everything." I stood quietly, letting his words hang in the air. There was a time when hearing him like this would have broken me. A time when I would have rushed to fix it, to make him whole again. I used to live for his approval, his comfort, his happiness. But that version of me didn't exist anymore. I crossed my arms and tilted my head, watching him with a kind of calm I never knew I was capable of. "I already signed the divorce papers," I said softly. "It's final." Jason's face crumpled. "Amelia, please, just help me get the house back or the business, something. I have nothing left." I shook my head, my voice steady, almost gentle. "You made sure I would walk away with nothing. You planned this for years. You just didn't expect me to be smarter." His knees buckled and he sat down on my front step, his head in his hands. "This wasn't supposed to happen like this," he whispered. I looked down at him. This man who once thought he held all the power. "This is exactly how it was supposed to happen," I said quietly. "You served me divorce papers at a family party to humiliate me. You sent your girlfriend to deliver them like I was trash. You built your life on lies, Jason." His shoulders shook. He had nothing left to say. I turned and walked inside, gently closing the door behind me. It was done. For the first time in years, I felt free. Later that evening, I met Mason at our usual cafe. He'd been my constant through all of this, the quiet voice of reason, the one who stood by me when no one else did. When I sat across from him, he didn't push me to talk. He just smiled and passed me a cup of tea. "You did it," he said softly. I looked out the window, watching the world go by without feeling like I was chasing it anymore. "I did," I whispered back. Mason gave me a knowing look. "So what now?" I sipped my tea, letting the warmth settle in my chest. "I think it's time I started living for me." Mason's smile deepened. "It's about time." The weight I had carried for years, the ache of betrayal, the shame of feeling like I wasn't enough, it all slipped off me like an old coat I didn't need anymore. Jason had been my whole world once, but now my world was wide open, and it was mine. I wasn't living to please anyone. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was simply living. And with Mason by my side, I knew I would never go back to the woman who settled for crumbs when she deserved the whole feast. Jason's story was over. Mine was just beginning. It's strange how life can start again when you least expect it. For years, I thought my story was written. Wife, homemaker, background character in Jason's big, bold life. I thought I would always be the one waiting at the door, hoping to be chosen, hoping to be seen. But now my life was finally mine. Jason's world continued to unravel long after he walked away from my doorstep with nothing. His assets stayed frozen. His business collapsed under investigation. His former friends, the ones who used to admire his wealth, quickly abandoned him when there was nothing left to gain. Last I heard, he was living in a small apartment outside the city, working part-time jobs to keep the lights on. Bella never came back. I thought maybe I'd feel some satisfaction in his downfall, but the truth is, I didn't need revenge anymore. I had already won. Not just the money, not just the house. I had won my freedom. The house Jason once flaunted was now my home, but I didn't need the cold luxury he left behind. I transformed it. I repainted the walls, filled the rooms with laughter and new memories, hosted family gatherings where I finally felt like I belonged again. My family, once divided, slowly returned to me. Even my sister, who had taken Jason's side, came by one afternoon, teary-eyed, with an apology I never thought I'd hear. "I was wrong," she whispered. "I let him fool me." I forgave her, because I had already let go of the bitterness. It no longer had a place in my life. And then, there was Mason. He never asked for anything, never pushed, but he was always there. In the quiet moments, in the long drives, in the simple, peaceful silences, where I finally remembered how to breathe. One sunny afternoon, we sat on a park bench watching children play. I looked at him and realized something that had been quietly growing all along. I was happy, not because of Mason, not because Jason was gone, but because I had chosen myself. Still, Mason had always been my safe place. I turned to him, smiling softly. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I had listened to you sooner?" He chuckled, his eyes warm. "I think you needed to walk your own road, even if it was hard." I nodded, feeling the weight of those words. "You've always been there," I said. "I always will be," he replied, his voice steady. There was no grand confession, no dramatic kiss, just quiet understanding. And maybe that was better, because I wasn't rushing into someone else's shadow this time. I was building my own story. I started volunteering at local charities, helping women who were rebuilding their lives after betrayal and heartbreak. I shared my story, not the ugly parts, but the parts that mattered. Survival, strength, starting over. My story became a lifeline for others. It became a new beginning, not just for me, but for the people who needed to hear it. And as the seasons changed, so did I. I let go of the woman who begged Jason to stay. I became the woman who chose herself. Jason's chapter was long closed. Mason was by my side, not as a savior, but as a friend who believed in me before I believed in myself. And me? I finally realized I didn't need anyone's permission to start again. I had already started. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you've ever been through betrayal or heartbreak, remember, it's never the end. Like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories about women finding their voice and taking back their lives. Hit the notification bell so you never miss the next one. Your story is waiting to begin.